Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. It's Sunday afternoon, February 19th, and we're now entering week 7 of Political Science 1013 on the first 8-week schedule for the spring term, of 2023. All right, everybody. We extended the period for the third exam and the deadline for contacting me about your term papers until today, Sunday the 19th, at the end of the day, midnight tonight, due to weather conditions and problems that we had on campus. Classes were canceled for at least one day, and some students may have lost internet access due to the snow, windstorm, and bad weather that the Panhandle area had just a few days ago. So, by the time you see this, which should be tomorrow, Monday the 20th, that period will be up. Everyone should have taken the exam by then, and you should have contacted me by then if you were interested in doing a term paper. I've heard from 3 students about the term paper. Those of you who contacted me should have received an email in response from me. So if you have not received that, contact me. But you should have received that. Those of you who are going to do the paper, pay attention to what I said to you in my reply. Everyone has chosen a different topic. I've set out in the little note that I sent back to you my expectations for the paper. Remember, what we're trying to get you to do is look as closely as you can for the better part of the paper on the legislative process behind the topic you have chosen, which will be a particular bill. I've tried to lay out some things that you should be sure to talk about in your paper, and you will be evaluated on that when you submit the final paper, so please pay close attention to that. Okay? All right, so the paper itself will be due March 2nd. That's a drop dead date. That's 1 week from this Thursday. Okay? The final exam will be Thursday and Friday, March 2nd and 3rd, over Units 7 and 8, and that will be our final exam on the last 2 units of the course. We'll talk a bit about Unit 7 this time on the Supreme Court and Unit 8 on Congress next time. Okay? Next time may be my last message to you for the term. All right. We will have our last of 5 discussions this week from the 22nd to the 24th, Wednesday through Friday. And that's over the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision from June of last year that overturned Roe versus Wade and allowed for the abortion procedure to be restricted or prohibited once again, as it could have been before the Supreme Court's 1973 Roe versus Wade decision that has been reversed now. Okay? So you're given a couple of things to read, pro and con on that question, and you're asked to discuss whether you think the Supreme Court did the right thing. All right, so that'll be open for 72 hours this Wednesday through Friday, the 22nd through the 24th. Okay? Remember, we're going to count the best 4 out of 5 discussions. You do get a bonus if you have taken part in all 5 discussions. All right? Well, let me say a few words then about Unit 7 on the Supreme Court. Okay, that will be one of the 2 units that we'll be covering on the final exam. There's several things we try to do in Unit 7. We discuss the Supreme Court's procedure, how the Supreme Court goes about deciding to accept cases for argument and then arguing and deciding those cases. You'll note such terminology as majority dissenting and concurring opinions. Please make note of that. We discuss the concept of judicial review and the concepts of judicial activism and self-restraint. So please watch out for those concepts. Then in the latter part of the class notes, we talk about the politics of the Supreme Court. Now, some people say that politics should be kept out of the Supreme Court because, after all, they're judges, not legislators. The distinction, though, has turned out to be difficult to make, and this is discussed in the class notes. One thing that many people who follow politics at all know about the Supreme Court is that 6 of them were appointed by Republican presidents and 3 of them were appointed by Democratic presidents. So 6 of them are suspected of being conservative, and 3 of them are suspected of being liberal. Although they would be reluctant to own up to that. They very rarely appear in public anyway. The thing about it is, for better or worse, the Supreme Court, especially nominations to the Supreme Court when vacancies occur, has become highly politicized in the past generation or so, generation and a half. Okay. And in the class notes, we talk about several sensational episodes that have occurred attendant to vacancies on the Supreme Court and nominations that have been made by presidents to fill those vacancies, especially the 3 vacancies that occurred that President Trump filled, which some people say has had the effect of pushing the Supreme Court in a far more conservative direction than it might have taken otherwise. So please pay very close attention to all of that. The political element to it probably is due in large part to the abortion issue. And the Supreme Court, as we said, now has overturned its 1973 abortion decision. Well, the very last thing that is discussed in the class notes is a series of so-called landmark Supreme Court decisions, important historic decisions of the Supreme Court. And we discuss the Brown versus Board of Education decision, the Citizens United decision, the Obergefell decision over so-called gay marriage, and we had Roe versus Wade in there, which is still mentioned, but of course now it's been overturned by the Dobbs decision from June of 2022. All right, so we discussed those decisions one by one and what went on in all those decisions. Important, historic, so-called landmark decisions of the Supreme Court. And that, in a nutshell, is what we tried to do in Unit 7 of the course on the Supreme Court. That is 1 of 2 units for the final exam, the other being Unit 8 on Congress, that we will discuss next week. Okay, so I hope you will take part in the discussion Wednesday through Friday. Otherwise, be working on that Supreme Court material. Take it easy, study hard, and we'll talk to you once again a week from now at this time.